Hey, come see us on tour. We'll be in Chicago, Grand Rapids, Michigan, Duluth, Georgia, right outside of Atlanta, Jacksonville, Florida, Tempe, Arizona, and Burbank, California. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for those tickets. Tim Walz falsely believes that freedom of speech guarantee doesn't include what he considers to be misinformation or hate speech. This will bother almost no Democrat supporters because they're all for censorship. The Democratic Party is no longer what Democrats are supposed to be. They become authoritarian fascists, because that's what that is. The hallmark of dictators and authoritarians and fascists is censorship. And one of our founding fathers said the price of liberty is eternal vigilance. And so you would never guess the people who consider themselves on the left would turn into authoritarian pro-censorship maniacs, mandating experimental medical treatments on people. And you can't, and if you want to talk back about it on social media, they'll censor you. But you want to hear, here he is being proud of squashing dissent, squashing free speech. This is him doing that. Let's see if I can find this. How do I do this? Here we go.
I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation. Who decides what's misinformation? Oh, that's right, the government. And who's ever running Facebook, and who's ever running Twitter at the moment, and who's ever running so the government does, right? So that they're going to decide the biggest liars in the world. Remember, the biggest purveyors of misinformation is the government. Second is the corporate media. And a distant third are randos on social media. So this isn't about, so this is him saying, we got to protect people from misinformation. No, you don't. I'm a grown-up. When I watch the TV news, I know it's all misinformation. I don't want you to stop them. I don't want you to use censorship. Let's play it again.
I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
There's no guarantee to free speech, especially around our democracy? Isn't that contradictory? Sounds contradictory to me. Glenn Greenwald understands it. I'll play it one more time for you.
I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or...
Of course there is. Because there's no one there to determine what is misinformation. What are you going to do? You're going to have the government do it? You're going to have Mark Zuckerberg do it? You're going to have Elon Musk decide what's misinformation? The guy who just set the record for being community noted in one day over all his lies about Venezuela. How about we just have freedom of speech and you trust the American citizens? So I'm just letting you know that Tim Walz is not this progressive sweetheart that people are. He's only to the left of someone who's a warmongering, anti-free speech, anti-bodily autonomy person. That's the only way he becomes a progressive. Tim Walz is if like Joe Biden fucked Bernie Sanders. Hey, wait a minute. He did fuck Bernie Sanders. I'll play it one more time.
Or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
Hey, there's no guarantee to free speech when it comes to things that I don't like that people say. Free speech is just there for speech we all like. No, it's the exact opposite. Speech that we all like doesn't need protecting. It's the speech that drives us crazy. It's the speech we hate that needs protecting. That's why it's in the Constitution.
I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
Well, here's what some underneath that tweet by Glenn Greenwald. Do you think that's true? I mean, that's how it appears on Twitter. But do you people in the real world actually think censorship is a good thing? Serious question. Glenn Greenwald says, when Matt Taibbi And Schellenberger testified before Congress about the attempts by the CIA, the FBI, and other agencies to coerce big tech to censor dissent. Every Democrat, every one of them, defended this as good, noble, and necessary. And polls show the same. That's why I say I didn't leave the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left me. I'm the same. I'm still anti-war. I'm still pro-worker. They crush unions. I'm still for bodily autonomy. They're not. They're for forced medical experiments. They're now pro-abortion. And I'm still free speech, anti-censorship. They're against free speech. They're for censorship. And Glenn tweeted out a great example of this. You want to see it? Here is regarding this, the below thread, the FBI. So on FBI targeting Trump supporters and censoring, I can't stress that enough, that the official position of the Democratic Party is to cheer and support the FBI, the CIA, and the Department of Homeland Security in censoring political speech from the internet. And if you don't think so, here, I'll play this for you. This is quintessential Democratic Party today. Let's watch.
And give a very eloquent and moving and passionate defense of this censorship regime that we know about only because the Twitter file.
We live in an information age where malign actors do want to use social media to influence our elections, both big, ones that you spend a lot of time talking about, and small, like mine.
Mr. Congressman,
it should be a bipartisan goal. No, you don't get to ask questions here. Okay. It should be a bipartisan goal to ensure that Americans and only Americans determine the outcome of our elections, not fear-mongering. I hope that you can actually take this with you, because I honestly hope that you will grapple with this. That it may be possible that if we can take off the tinfoil hat, that there's not a vast conspiracy.
Well, that's exactly what the Twitter files revealed, is that there was a vast conspiracy, a public-private partnership of people conspiring to get social media to censor people. That's exactly what happened. It's not tinfoil. It's funny he calls it tinfoil hat stuff as he's advocating for it. But this is classic Democratic Party.
But that ordinary folks and national security agencies responsible for our security are trying their best to find a way to make sure that our online discourse doesn't get people hurt or see our democracy undermined.
So they're out there protecting you, which is what every dictator and fascist has said since the beginning of time. The reason I'm censoring is to protect you from all the enemies of America, of our country that want to trick you. So we're going to censor. That's what they say in China. That's what they say in North Korea. That's what they used to say in the Soviet Union. We're doing this to protect you. And now that's what Democrats and some Republicans in the United States say. They're there to protect you. And that's what this guy's saying. This is a congressman saying this to Matt Taibbi. They're there. The CIA and the FBI and the DHS, they're doing their best to protect us from online misinformation. Again, the biggest purveyors of misinformation, the government, second, the corporate media, and a distant third, randos on Twitter and Facebook.
And the very rights that you think they're trying to undermine, they may be trying to protect.
I like how he says, and the very rights that you think they're undermining, they may be trying to protect. That they're not. You don't protect it by censoring people. You don't protect freedom of speech by censorship. That's the opposite of free speech. They're trying to protect free speech. How? By censoring. You just don't get it. And that's what Tim Walz is all about. He's all for that. Let me play. In case you missed it, I'm going to play it for you one more time.
I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
Turns out, yes, there is. It's called the Constitution.
Hey, come see us on tour. We'll be in Chicago, Grand Rapids, Michigan, Duluth, Georgia, right outside of Atlanta, Jacksonville, Florida, Tempe, Arizona, and Burbank, California. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for those tickets.